Okay, I'm just going to do a short little video here on how to use Lightroom Mobile. Now, I'm going to go into Lightroom Mobile, and you'll see that I have brought up an image here. This was taken at Lismore Castle in Ireland when we were on our trip last fall. And I'm just going to go through the steps that I took to change or to process this picture. So I'll just start with optics down at the bottom. You can see there, and this is where you remove chromatic aberration and make lens corrections. It doesn't make a lot of difference, but I usually do that anytime I'm processing an image. So now I'll start with some general changes. I'm going to first of all go to light. And here I'm going to increase the exposure just a small amount. Just about there. I'm going to increase the contrast a bit. I'm going to take the highlights down a little bit. About there. I'm going to bring the shadows up. Now you can see by the histogram that the images, the whites are not fully utilized here. So I can bring this up. I can bring this up a bit. I think that's about where they start to get clipped. The blacks, I think we're almost at the point where they would be getting clipped as well. And I'm going to look at the color. And I think that color temperature looks okay. I could maybe warm it up just slightly. I'm going to bring the vibrance up though a bit. Think about there. And I'm going to bring saturation up a bit as well. Now next thing I'm going to do is do some masking. You can see down at the bottom, the round circle there with kind of a dotted line around it. That's the mask. So I'm going to click on that. And I'm going to hit the plus sign there in the blue circle to create a mask. I'm going to ask it to select the sky. And for the sky, I'm going to drop the exposure slightly. So that's found under light. So I'm just going to drop it a little bit about there. And I'm going to increase the contrast. So I'm just going to bring that right about there. Now, I'm going to also, I'm going to go into masks again, and I'm going to create the reverse here. I'm going to duplicate and invert that mask. And so for the foreground, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go under Effects, and I'm going to increase the texture. And then I'm going to also bring up the clarity. And you can see how that really makes the colors pop when you do that. Now, one thing that I want to take a look at here, you'll see that there's a few flowers and things down in the left-hand corner. Um, I don't really want that in there, so I'm gonna try and erase that. You can see there's down in the bottom right-hand corner, there's what looks like an eraser. I'm gonna select that. Uh, I'll just adjust the size a little bit. And I've got generative AI selected, but not detect objects. And what I'm going to do is just kind of, hmm, there we go. Just going to kind of color in that area where I want to remove the flowers and see what it will do. And I don't really like what it has done there. So I think what I'm going to do is discard those changes. The other way that I can get rid of that is by cropping. I can just move the border up a little bit, and that eliminates those things in the bottom. Now, the other thing is I noticed that the tower on the castle is leaning in a bit, and so I would like to fix that. So I'm going to go into the crop tool again. I'm going to try auto geometry. That seems to have done a pretty good job. If it doesn't, you do have some options down the bottom. At the bottom, you can rotate and flip things and straighten and so forth. But I think that's pretty good. Probably I would spend a little more time on this and straighten it up to exactly what it should be, but that doesn't look too bad. So I'm going to accept that. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is create a vignette. And I'm going to use the masking tool again to do that. So I'm going to select the masks, and I'm going to hit the plus sign to create another mask. And this time I'm going to use a radial gradient. So I'm just going to create one, place it where I would like it, kind of in the center. And this is really just to darken the edges. So what I'm going to do here, click on that. And what I want to do is invert it. It's not letting me do that for some reason. There we go. Invert. Okay, and then I'm going to go to light, and I'm just going to drop the exposure down so that the edges are a little bit darker than the center of the image. Now, if I think that maybe I want that to be a little bit closer to the edges, I can adjust the size of that mask. Or if I want it feathered differently, I can change that as well. I'm just going to accept that, and I think that looks pretty good. Now, if I want to see how that compares to what the image looked like originally, you can just press and hold the picture, and you can see that's what it looked like before. Take your finger off, and then you can see what I've turned it into. So I think that made some pretty good improvements. There's some other things I would probably do if I were trying to refine this. Like I said, I would probably go and try and straighten that tower a little bit more. Again, that's under auto geometry. I don't know. Yeah, whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. Or is that? Yeah, I think I probably probably would have to take this into the Lightroom desktop to straighten that more. For now, that's probably reasonably good. The other thing I maybe would do is extend the top to give a little bit more canvas. That it seems to me that the top of that tower is a little bit too close to the edge, so I would maybe just give it a little bit more room. But other than that, that's pretty good, I think, the way it is. So to save this or do something with it, up on the top line there, you can see there's a little box with an arrow. That's the export or share button. And then usually what I do is I choose export as, and then I'll change, I often do just leave it as a TIFF, but you could change it to JPEG if you were wanting to post it online or something like that. You also can include a watermark if you like, and you can customize where you put it in the image. You're a little bit more limited on the mobile app than you are on the desktop, but you can do a few things like that. Once you're satisfied, then you can just hit the check mark in the top right corner, and it's saving the photo. And then it'll ask where you want to put it. I usually choose save image, so then I have a copy, excuse me, in my device photos. And that's all there is to it.